My boyfriend told another woman that she is incredible. Am I overreacting? I've been in 3 long-term relationships so far, and the last ex-boyfriend had an emotional affair and broke up with me as soon as the other woman became available. I took it pretty hard because I was in love with him and thought I had found my person out of 8 billion and we had something special and amazing, while ex-boyfriend was just stringing me along. That relationship ended a year ago. I'm not sure if I'm overreacting to the current situation because of my past trauma, or if my boyfriend's behavior is inappropriate and I should break it off now before I become too attached. I love my friends, but I don't want to ask them for advice. They'll just try to protect me because that's what friends do. My boyfriend and I have been dating for a couple of months. We sometimes go out with his friends and acquaintances. The last couple of times someone in the group brought along her coworker Abby. Abby has a boyfriend, but they are long distance. My boyfriend really likes Abby. She insisted on adding him on Insta, and texts him fun snippets about their shared interest of anime, which evolved into them texting each other fun moments about their day. They can literally talk about anime for hours, and now they're talking about going to some weekend convention in the area together. I try to take part in his interests. I've seen a few shows, but I'm not a die-hard fan. I would have been fine with this, but now he's started literally telling her that she's so fun. She's always in a good mood. She has a sunny personality. Except she doesn't. She just fake giggles a lot around men, not around women. Her real laugh sounds completely different. The problem is that I am an introvert, and they are both extroverts. So I am fun and interesting and exciting for a couple of hours of socializing, but then I get tired and need a break. If I keep faking it, I get exhausted. But if I don't, my boyfriend says that he doesn't like my mood swings and that Abby is happy all the time. This Saturday, when he told her that she is incredible, right in front of me, because she made a silly joke and giggled. I don't think I'm insecure because in my personal opinion she is a pretty boring person and she is not nice and not kind, regardless of what my boyfriend thinks. I've felt insecure of other women before, but that was always some quality that they possessed that I didn't have, and she doesn't have anything that I might want for myself, except maybe a more resilient nervous system and less need to recharge after socializing. If your partner acted like this around another woman, would you consider it a red flag? Comment. They're into each other. Bow out gracefully while you still can. Dimes to donuts, those two end up together within a month. A couple of months in and he says you have mood swings and is crushing on another woman right in front of you. Right now you should be in the honeymoon stage, that this person is amazing stage. And instead he is giving that lovesick dopamine to another person, right in front of you. Nope. That wouldn't work for me. And I don't have past trauma like yours. What I do have is a person who looked at me like I hung the moon and stars in 24 years and still thinks I'm amazing, flaws and all. I put up with that kind of nonsense you are going through before I met my husband, and knowing what I do now, ditch this guy. He's comparing the two of you and she's coming up the winner. Let her have him because he doesn't sound worth keeping. There's a way you're supposed to treat the people you care about and he's not doing that. You should focus on meeting someone who does treat you like you matter. Just my 2 cents. I think your boyfriend's growing closeness with Abby can be a sensitive matter. Given your past experiences, I think it's crucial to communicate openly. Share your concerns with him, especially regarding the compliments directed at Abby. As an introvert myself, something that I would do if I were to be in your position is to explain the challenges you face as an introvert and the pressure to match her energy. If your partner doesn't know about your past, it's worth bringing up so that your insecurities aren't being poked at. I'd also talk about introversion vs extroversion with him so he can try to understand where you're coming from. There's liking someone and there's compatibility. He may think she's incredible because they share certain interests but may not necessarily be compatible as a couple. If he thinks she's so incredible that he forgets you're even standing in the room, then move on. He doesn't sound like he is very interested in how what he says about her will make you feel. You don't need to be humiliated like that by anyone. No loss. You've been dating a few months. How does she act when he gushes like that? Does she take a step back or bask in the attention? This sounds like you aren't communicating your insecurities with your partner, which he probably isn't picking up on. Sometimes it is your job to inform people of your feelings instead of just waiting for him to pick up on it. It also sounds like you are completely negative towards her and hate everything she does. Your boyfriend probably enjoys her personality because she's not constantly talking smack about other people. It just makes you seem miserable and jealous. That's not attractive. Being introverted is way different than hating on this girl because she has a personality that your boyfriend vibes with. She is fun in ways you aren't. Your boyfriend also doesn't seem to be picking up on your feelings. He isn't seeing from your perspective and seeing why it hurts you. It doesn't help your case if you just seem to hate on her for no reason. He is making a connection with her because she seems to be making an effort to communicate with him. He is learning more about her because she is telling him about herself. The universe always sends messages. When we like someone, we just ignore them. It has been 2 months. They like each other. Cut him off. He doesn't owe any huge debt. Just recognize and let go of him. I would not date anyone that behaved that way around me after 2 months. A sign he is just not clicking the same way with you. Please. Story 2. I moved in with my partner a few months ago and I have regrets. I think I made a huge mistake. This is long. I'm sorry. I moved in with my partner of 3 years at the end of August. He got a promotion earlier this year that was too good to pass up but required a move 3 hours away. To provide some background to this year, I have significant trust and abandonment issues from childhood and previous relationship, platonic and romantic. I've been working on them in counseling and I significantly improved through the past couple years. But it did mean I kept my partner at arm's length for the first couple years of our relationship. I am also on the asexual spectrum, which I told him on date 2. I think gray sexual is probably the best label, but I don't care about the specifics so much and simply say I'm on the ace spectrum. He said he was fine with that and it wasn't a big deal for him. Fast forward to year 2 of dating, and he's suddenly saying he's been patient but he needs sex to feel a connection. It really threw me for a loop. To be honest, we'd be making out and I would kind of mentally count down to when I could reasonably pull away without hurting his feelings. I've tried to explain this gently to him even before this conversation. Then he gets this promotion and asks me to stay at his house to watch the dogs, a bonded rescue pair of huskies I got him for Christmas 2022 while he got things settled in the new city. He kept running houses by me and I was just like, it's your money, but I like/dislike X. He never once asked me to move in or talked about it. Instead, he just assumed I'd move. Meanwhile, he barely acknowledged my birthday and treated me like a glorified dog sitter through his move process. My doubts began to grow through the spring and I couldn't decide if I was getting cold feet because of red flags or fear. I took a risk after a great weekend together 2.5 years in to tell him how I feel by saying I love you, and all he had to say was, why say this now? My dog of 15 years had to be put down at the beginning of August and he did the bare minimum for support. Seeing his friends for the first time since his move was more important. I found my dream job out by his new house, which was a huge surprise, and made the decision to move in at the end of August. Recently, we had a serious discussion that has begun to make me think that we're incompatible in the long term. Long story short, I was pulling back because my emotional needs weren't being met and he was pulling back because his physical needs weren't being met, and it created a vicious cycle. I feel like I've been bamboozled. Suddenly saying he'd be happy with sex 2 to 3 times a week and he needs sex to fall in love with someone. If sex isn't that big a deal, how do you need it to feel emotionally intimate with someone? It's like all of a sudden, he expects me to be someone else in the bedroom. And the small things I'm craving don't happen. I've told him from the beginning that I like little gestures rather than big moves. I like heartfelt messages, e.g., not just happy birthday, and memes and this made me think of you moments. He's made me feel like I'm not able to take up space in this house he claims is for us but constantly refers to things as his. His dog's comfort is more important than mine. I'm just the wicked stepmom and he constantly forgets about my dog that I've had longer than I've known him. I broke down in tears, me who hardly ever cries, trying to explain this to him and how I have no idea what value I bring to his life because he never shares it and he has the audacity to say that he disagrees with how his behavior makes me feel. He stood across the room from me with his arms crossed defensively and barely batted an eye at my tears. I care about you is all I could get out of him, but I care about my co-workers so it doesn't hold much weight for me. That was 4 weeks ago and nothing has changed. He hasn't made any effort. I think the final straw for me was when he invited his mom, who is so sweet, to see his new house the first weekend of November when he knew I'd been planning to attend a Halloween party out of town for over a month. It's just another example of how it's not our house, it's his. I'm just a roommate he wants to fuck. I think I need to move out. Am I crazy for planning this after only a couple months living together? Comment. I think you've tried everything to be compatible. The answer is that you are just not. He doesn't give you what you want, and you don't give him what he wants. At some point, someone has to call time of death on this one and looks like he's doing it through passive-aggressive actions. If you don't want to be treated this way, or feel this way, you know what to do. It's just not working. Very sorry. Trust your gut, you're not compatible. Stop second-guessing yourself. You are smart and self-aware, so stop doubting yourself. On a side note, he may have originally thought he could handle limited sex, then realized he couldn't. But it honestly doesn't matter whether he had a realization or misrepresented his needs hoping you'd change. You are not compatible regardless. When I was getting divorced, I read a lot of articles about relationship, and this advice stuck out. Think of the 5 things you least like about your partner. Then ask yourself, if those things never changed, could you still live happily with them for the rest of your life? If your answer is no, they're not the right person for you. It's as simple as that. Don't stay with someone expecting them to change. It's not fair for either of you. Sorry, you've been together for 3 years and you don't say I love you to each other? You moved in with someone who doesn't love you? I know you don't want to have sex, but why would you stay in a relationship for so long without love? Find someone who will actually love you. No, you are not. Issues were visible before you moved in, and you did not have cold feet due to nerves. It was the red flags. You ignored them, and now it's worse, which is the logical progression of events. The longer you stay, the more time you are wasting while you already know it's not working out and you two are not compatible. It's not going to get better. The opposite, actually, from what you yourself said, it has only gotten worse with time. So why would that suddenly change? It won't. It will move in this exact same trajectory it has been moving so far, getting worse. So get out now. I mean, it doesn't sound like you ever should have moved in with him to begin with, so it's not wild that you would want to leave after only a few months. Has he ever said he loves you? Kind of seems like you both just desperately want to be in a relationship, regardless of who the person is you're actually dating. I hope you can find someone who you are compatible with and who makes you happy. You deserve it. I agree with everyone else about this situation that you are fundamentally incompatible. Especially for some men, sex is the direct way to feel cared for on a purely primal/subconscious level. The other methods of showing care do not fill that need. And equally, your need for verbal affirmation is how a lot of women understand affection, etc. You gave it your best shot. Move out/on.